Right there, welcome back to the channel. How's it going? How is your Monday going? What you all up to and all that good stuff? I'm in absolute clip me from yesterday from trying to fan dance. So I'm doing absolutely schnellmacking today, just nothing. I'm in genuine bits. But it is what it is, and we'll get over it. I'll be fine tomorrow. Quick rest in peace to Sven-Göran Eriksson, who has recently passed away. Sad news, been at the end of a long illness, and he's had some quite inspirational words on the build-up to it. So rest in peace to Sven. And let's get on with what we're talking about then. So it sort of broke a little bit yesterday, didn't it, in terms of what's now happening, what's going on, where we kind of stand in terms of what's happening with Scott McTominay. There's been some talk now for probably nigh on, what's it been, like 2.5 weeks, something like that, linking Scott McTominay with a move, specifically to Napoli. There's been moves sort of getting discussed, and there's been rumours of Scott McTominay moving elsewhere all window, actually. But the sort of here we go, if you like, on what's going on with Scott McTominay has only really sort of just happened. Ornstein mentioning that Napoli have agreed a deal with him subject to all parties being satisfied on personal terms, somewhere in the region of 30 million euros plus a percentage of his future sale, supposedly quite important for United's FFP compliance. And he says that the Ugarte potential signing is going to be aided by the 27-year-old's exit. Now, I find this one pretty interesting, and, you know, at the same time, making sense. It's felt to me always that the Ugarte deal was on the cards. I'm not going to say it was definitely going to happen because I've got no knowledge of that, but it looked like and felt like it was on the cards from the start of summer, actually. Laurie's been quite consistent in terms of if this happens, it's going to be towards the back end of the window. And for me, the way that this window has gone for United, with deals getting completed on the back of people moving on and leaving, it always felt like there was somebody had to leave before this was going to develop and go a little bit further. Now, the Ugarte one has had deal agreed in terms of the personal terms for him for best part of, it feels like 2 months, doesn't it? It's at least 6 weeks. So it always felt like the Ugarte deal was going to happen. There was something blocking the way. Now, on one hand, you go, okay, the fees between PSG and Manchester United might be a little bit far apart. United want to get him a little bit cheaper, don't want to pay quite as much as they're looking for. That's one thing. But then on the other hand, the same sort of thing happened with Bayern for Mazraoui and De Ligt, where the deal was seemingly all complete and everyone's kind of like, I think it's just going to happen, but it isn't happening. So I don't know what's going on. And then as soon as Wan-Bissaka gets sold to West Ham, boom, he's a Manchester United, or they are Manchester United players. So I always felt like that was probably going to be how it goes down a little bit. Now, Ugarte, I expect to get complete, like, with an absolute quickness. And I'll probably do another video talking about Sancho and Chelsea and just keep that totally separate, actually. But it's one of those, isn't it? I think Scott McTominay has run his course as a useful first-choice Manchester United player. And then we'll have an idea. Snap says, here's a crazy idea, Steve. Why are we not going to buy Chiesa? One Sancho is gone. Fact is, he's 26 like Rashford, and we have 2 young ones to let them grow, Garnacho and Ahmad. Probably FFP, mate. Because you've got to remember, yes, Sancho will have been moved on, but we've still got plenty of wingers. You know, we've still got options out there. I could see a case for bringing somebody in, but I don't know if the club can afford that. Now, I know Chiesa's circumstances mean that he's not going to be mega impactful in terms of what's going to happen with FFP. But I think United really need to move Anthony on before they do that. Do you know what I mean? Doubloon says Chiesa will command high wages. There's that one, isn't there? Would I rather sell Rashford for more money to get Ugarte and maybe Tony? I've felt like that was a possibility for a while, to be honest. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, I actually recorded a video. It's in draft on this channel. You know, the thumbnail, I don't know if it's still on this page actually here, but the thumbnail, is it that one? Nope. Is it that one? There you go. The thumbnail's right there because we'd heard that there was some possibility that he'd agreed deal with PSG. So if it was for a significant amount of money and United was going to flip that into something else, yeah, I could have looked at it. But yeah, I don't know. I liked Chiesa a couple of years ago. I'm not sure on him now is my answer, if I could be honest. Tom Hutton there with a super chat. How would I grade our transfer window? We've wanted to get rid of some deadwood for a while, and it's finally starting to happen. I think it's been pretty good. If you get Ugarte in, I think it's been pretty good. It's got to be at least an 8 out of 10, I would think, in terms of a window. Mel Music says, sell Trashford, mate. All in capitals. Well, we know we're dealing with someone with a double-digit IQ when that's the sort of thing that they're... I mean, imagine calling one of our own players Trashford. Have a fucking word with yourself. No one's going to take anything that you say any seriousness. If you say, listen, I don't think Rashford's going to recover his form, I'm not sure that he's got the ability to do blah, 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 then that's fine. People will listen to your opinion. When you call someone Trashford, you can just go and get in the fucking bin, mate. You're not wanted. 64 Ahmed says, where are the goals coming from? I get that it's good to have multiple players who score 10-ish goals, but we need a goal scorer along with them. I agree, mate. Yeah, I absolutely agree. The thing that worries me about this season is I actually think that we are going to struggle to score goals, and we are struggling to score goals. We're creating chances. I think, are we second or something, or top of the expected goals created? But we've scored 2 goals. Daniel says, Rashford has too low a value currently. He needs to play himself into form for a different situation. I actually disagree. When you see Solanke going for 65 fucking million, mate, I wouldn't have thought his I wouldn't have thought his value would be that low. I'm going to be honest with you. Super chat from Mario says, do I see the similarities between how Eric wants to play and Klopp's Liverpool, combative midfield, passes from defence to break the lines to forward players bypassing midfield? That's not how Klopp played. And that's not what United are doing at all. So what similarities are you suggesting here? Now, if I was to explain to you the Liverpool played under Klopp with 3 narrow forwards, right? 3 narrow forwards. They would use the fullbacks, both of them, as width, and they would put crosses into the box. You wouldn't necessarily see a lot of link-up play with those fullbacks, but you would see those fullbacks, both of them, putting crosses into the box. Now, that defence that's behind, the midfield that's in behind, yeah, that's looking to do a lot of counter-pressing. But the way our midfield is set up, especially with Bruno being a 10 and Kobe being a ball player, sort of a playmaker, no, there isn't the structure there to do what Liverpool did in terms of a 3 counter press. You know, realistically, what you would see with Liverpool was it was a 3-2 structure or a 2-3 structure with Fabinho probably anchoring and either being the one that pushes up or drops off alongside the 2 centre halves. But so the shape can look similar in terms of what you're doing in the final third, but the what's the word I'm looking for here? The realization of what they're trying to do, the game plan of what they're trying to do, how they're trying to create goals was totally different and not in the slightest bit related. Anthony says Rashford must be dropped and made to work for his place like Fergie would have done. I think people are exaggerating how he's been this season. He was good against Fulham, objectively. And he was bad against Brighton, objectively. But this, he must be sold, he must be dropped. I'm not. I don't think it's as obvious. I think Garnacho's come on and looked good in a couple of games, but when you put Garnacho on from the start, quite often doesn't deliver in that sort of sense. Yeah, 64 Ahmed says Rashford is so bad he has similar numbers to Garnacho. They scored the same amount of league goals last season. Brian says, I hate how our fan base has become so reactionary now. Maybe it's just the online ones, but 19 years of neglect can't be fixed in a matter of months. Calm down and be patient. We'll get there. I tend to agree with that. Let me just refresh this. So there's a ton of super chats I just missed there. I just want to grab them. It's not letting me do it. And it's not letting me see the comments either. That's weird. Right, all right. Is R9 funny? We've never really had a conversation. I've got a match ball, metaphorically. I managed to get free selfies with him, which I'm pretty happy with. But no, he doesn't really speak. He just saw kind of a picture and he goes, and then he say cheers and he says cheers and then he leaves. He doesn't really talk. Alex says, we can't afford to be carrying players. We need balance. We do need balance, for sure. Adarsha says, why does it feel like we're repeating the same style of player mentality as last season? Probably because you've not watched any of our games. Because if you feel like we've got the same style of player mentality as last season, I presume you've not seen us play this season, because we are vastly different to last season. It's ridiculously different. Uma says, if I was a manager, what tactical changes would I make to improve United's consistency? Well, a tactical change isn't necessarily going to improve consistency. A tactical change is going to be something that works in a single game, potentially. What tactical changes would I employ to improve United? I'm going to say, Ryan says, Marcus wasn't playing left wing when he had the 42 goal contributions. He was playing up front. He was playing left wing, mate. I mean, realistically, he plays left forward, but we call it left wing, don't we? Yeah. What was we talking about before that? Oh, tactical changes. So I feel like we almost got stuck in a trap here. And the trap I'm going to call the Mason Mount trap. Why the Mason Mount trap? Because Mason Mount had a bright pre-season. And Mason Mount's clearly key to how we want to press the opposition. Now, when you don't have your first choice striker, and I presume your second choice striker isn't match fit, he also doesn't really play in the number 9 role anyway. Having a Mason Mount who you go, well, at least we're going to press the bollocks off him, is a massive asset. So he's played that asset. Now, against Manchester City, even though we ended up losing the Charity Shield on penalties, Mason Mount was a massive asset. And that style worked in the last 2 competitive games that we had, Manchester City and Manchester City. And then against Fulham, we played well, but there was obviously lacking a bit of a final ball and a bit of a polish on the finish. And the same thing can be said against Brighton. So on one hand, and this is the problem, there is nothing that's ever 100% the right thing to do and 100% the wrong thing to do. There's always gradients and percentages, right? Taking Mason Mount out of the team and putting a striker in, whether that's Xerxes or Højlund, is going to change how we play. And it's going to change how we play with the ball. It's going to change how we play without the ball. It's going to change how we build up, what we do at set pieces. All of those things change. And you don't know if they're going to be a positive or negative change for sure until you make those changes and you find out. Now, I think the trap that we got stuck into is Mount's having decent impact. And it was obviously the right tactical setup to play against Manchester City. And it probably will be the right tactical setup to play against Manchester City. It also might be the right tactical setup to play against Liverpool. But that doesn't mean it's the right tactical system to use against Fulham and against Brighton. So you have to find ways to win matches when you might need 3 or 4 or 5 different ways to win those matches over the course of a season. And that's the problem. I think we don't necessarily have obviously better options than playing a pair of 9s or false 9s in Mount and Bruno at the moment. Oh, I've just done the fucking thing again, haven't I? It's gonna... Oh, at least it stopped playing. Normally when I do that, it stops the fucking video, it freezes it. But it's still working. Anyway, where's the chat gone? Dunn says, as positive as we want to be, what is the result? 3 points out of 2, goal difference of 0, and it's season 3, not just second match. Mate, so fucking what? Jesus fucking Christ. Go see where Fergie was after 3 years. He nearly relegated us. Get a fucking grip. Christ on a bike. John says, when are we selling everything to get Oasis tickets? Just put my house on the market. Yeah, we're going, no matter what. Amar says, have I seen what Paul Merson put up 2 hours ago about Rashford? No, can you elaborate? Give me a clue what he said. JR says, Garnacho for Rashford versus Liverpool. See, the thing is, I think Marcus actually works harder in defence. I'm actually 50-50 on this. I'm actually 50-50 on whether I would go with Rashford or Garnacho. Knight says Maguire experiment needs to start 1 game in 20 and gets a start where he makes another mistake. De Ligt has to start. Well, I think De Ligt actually really helps us play out. I know Maguire kept the ball all right on Saturday, but he's still limited in what he's doing. He won't pass to his right for some fucking reason. Yeah, it's just a... I think De Ligt's going to be the first choice, so getting him in quicker rather than later is the big one. Abhinav says, one thing I've noticed this weekend of Premier League is you need to be clinical. No team was fully dominating. If you score goals, you put the other team on the back foot. Yeah, you need goals. I mean, we had a similar thing with Paddock on Saturday. We had 72% possession. 72%. Just fucking days and days and days on the ball. And we had decent penetration, but we didn't have the shots. And therefore, we fucking drew. And that's how it works sometimes. You've got to be able to get your shots off, and then you've got to be clinical when you get those shots. We had players that had, 2, 3, 4 chances, didn't put them away. Come away with a draw. Nightmare. Would I back Rashford to get a goal against Liverpool? He usually delivers on big games. He does usually deliver, doesn't he? I mean, he's got to get into form. Like, I've said it several times. This is the last season he's going to get any grace. It's the last season he's going to get any grace. So he's got to really fix it up. Marie says Rashford and Amas on the left-hand side versus Liverpool. Well, I like how aggressive and front foot Amas is, for sure. But the fact that he's not even been on the bench, has he, since we started the season, I think is a little bit of an issue for him. Amar says, why are people saying Garnacho? Because he's got goal involvements. And he has got goal involvements. And when he comes on at the 60th minute, he looks absolutely fantastic. I just don't think, even when he comes on, I think there's still lots of issues in his decision-making on that. And I just think it's one of them. KG says Solanke is way better than Rashford. It's not a blip. He's had a few months of form in 5 years. Shut up, you fucking helmet. That's just objectively not fucking true, innit? Objectively not true. This fucking chat is going all weird again. What hurts more, Paddock losing or United losing? Paddock losing because I actually have a hand in that. Whereas United, obviously, it matters, but it's not my fault. Leonard says, this is the bloke who said Pep would fail at City and Ten Hag is the right man for United. Ten Hag is the right man for United, right? Who's a better man for United? And also, I wasn't, what's the word I'm looking for here? I wasn't aware Pep was going to be able to just fucking break loads of rules or be given £1 billion to spend on defenders. So, yeah, I was wrong on that because I wasn't aware of all the facts at the time. But, you know, it's one of them, innit? 115 charges and stuff. James says, hi, Steve, just joined. Not sure if we can cover, but Hannibal going to Burnley. Yeah, I did see that one, actually. Obviously, doesn't fancy keeping him around. It's a weird one because I thought he would have added a little bit of depth to midfield, but, you know, him and Oyedele going, I guess that he don't think they're going to get anything. Abhinav says, I think Casemiro gets tired last 15 minutes a game and it enforces the notion that United overwork the midfielders. Casemiro can't play last 20 of any match. Ali says, how do you measure possession stats for Paddock? What? The same way you would measure it for United. It counts the amount of passes you have. Tyler says, who invited all the Arsenal fans to your chat? They just live online. They're fuckwits, aren't they? Brian says, Rashford just looks like a player seriously low on confidence. If he scores against Liverpool, could see him kicking on and having a decent season. He fucking needs to. Will Fish got to Cardiff as well, yeah. That's another one that he thought would probably get some minutes maybe. What kind of profile does Ugarte bring? Is it closer to Casemiro or something like a Frenkie de Jong? I actually thought it was closer to Casemiro earlier, but he's actually sort of a different profile. He's very much more in the Kante mould than the Casemiro or Frenkie de Jong mould, really. Have I heard anything about Dango where he is? He's been injured. Rich says Kobe Mainoo should be the only one starting 60% of games. Yeah. Oh, should only be starting 60% of games? Oh, I disagree. I think he's featured in every single one of our Premier League games for a while. Leonard says, you actually think Pep's success isn't down to being an elite coach? It's not what I said, is it? It's what you said. What I said is what I said. You added on a little bit that I didn't say and then decided that's what I said. You're a fuckwit. So just do one. No one's here for you. Andrew says, someone recently described Ugarte as Fred, but with ability to listen to a coach. I think it's a bit different to that. PQ Original says, how long does Rashford have to be poor before you demand he's dropped? Well, I've demanded it be dropped. I wouldn't demand he gets dropped anyway, but I've suggested he be dropped fucking loads of times. But that's not always, it's not a permanent situation. It's fluid. And there isn't an objectively far better option to bring in. I think Garnacho's got some real fucking potential. But there's a lot of things he's got to add to his game. Mark Custer, Super Chat, says, I hate providing excuses for players, but Rashford is much better when someone overlaps him. Seems like we're heading toward inverted fullbacks, which doesn't get the best out of Rash. I don't know if we are heading to inverted fullbacks, to be honest with you, mate. I think we're just playing Dalot because he's the only one fit at the moment. Alex says, do I think Ugarte will be enough for this midfield, or do we need another? We probably need another, but you're not getting that in one window, are you? Amar says Rashford is just the most hated player in the league. It's crazy. I think he's one of the most hated in the world, actually. Didn't they do a fucking study on that one? PQ Original says it's not fluid if he's consistently poor for 12 months. Right. However, who's been consistently fucking better than him for 12 months? Because, as I said earlier, Garnacho literally scored the same amount of goals as him and consistently fails to pass to our other fucking players. So, yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm not sitting here saying that Marcus has not been poor. That's never happened. I'm just saying that the options that are supposedly better than him just aren't the fucking same. Or not obviously fucking better. What's a realistic target for United in terms of league position and trophies? I think we can pick up a trophy still. I think we're very good in the Cups. I think he's proved that over the last couple of years. And I still think we can get top 4. I absolutely think we can get top 4. Ali says, what do we use to measure the stats at our level? What are you saying? the same thing that happens in the fucking Premier League. It gets counted. How will people react if McTominay rejects the move to Italy? Ooh, yeah. Well, I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna do it. I think they are gonna do it, and I think it probably needs to happen as well. To be honest, do I think tactics are too confusing for the players? No. Is there a podcast on Paddock this afternoon? Probably. Green Devil says, I think we can get top 4 and win the Europa League this season. Yeah. Lee says, Marcus in the Ollie and Ralph half season was a worse run of form than the one he's currently on. 30-goal season followed on the back of some confidence. Katie says, our lack of goals will cost us this season. 2 games, 0 goals on board. We've scored 2. I don't know what that means. Did I watch the Liverpool game yesterday? No, I didn't. It says Klopp ball looks different from slot ball. I've not watched it, so I can't comment. How much are we fucking having it at the Oasis gigs? Yes, we are having it at the Oasis gigs. Bip says, I really hope fans can be patient with Ten Hag because this is an open heart surgery of United. Exactly that, yeah. You know, the new board are just settling in. You know, I expect there to be madness next summer from them, and we'll just see what happens. United Indian says, please explain to me the decision to pick Maguire over De Ligt. We solved the problem at the back with De Ligt and still picks the same problem with Maguire. I'm going to get off, honestly, because I can't believe people are asking such obvious questions. Now, why do you think he's picking Maguire over De Ligt right now? Why do you think he's picking Maguire over De Ligt? Is it because he was on pre-season tour, Maguire, and has actually trained with the team and actually knows what the manager wants, and De Ligt hasn't trained, hasn't played, still bedding in? And is that why? Is that why also Xerxes is on the bench? It's not good for players to go straight into the starting 11. And you're going to go, but what about Mazraoui? Okay, cool. If Mazraoui doesn't play, who plays right back? Come on, man. James says, why can't Mount shoot anymore? He just side foot scuffs it. I don't know. Brian says, Ten Hag picked an unchanged winning team and De Ligt came a week ago. Get a grip. Took Casemiro about 4 weeks before he started a game. Yeah, do you remember that? And what happened once Casemiro actually got into the team? Because he was coming on the bench, wasn't he, starting the odd game and looked fucking miles off the pace. And then when he eventually got into the team, he was fantastic. Daniel says he picked Maguire over De Ligt because he's riding a winning team, or De Ligt isn't fully match fit. I can't imagine it be long before he starts. No, I agree, totally. Mario says, am I at all concerned that under Ten Hag we struggle to score 3, 4, 5 goals in a game? We've seen it under past managers with many of the same players. Why do I think that is? Well, you say many of the same players, but it's not the same team, is it? The team that Ollie had was so long ago now, by the way. Was it 2018, 19? You're talking Lukaku. You're talking Paul Pogba. You're talking just a different set of players. I think when Ten Hag took over, it was the worst United side in 30 years. And he got us into the top 4 and won a trophy. And then he delivered another trophy last year with having fucking none of those players kicking about. It's nuts. It's genuinely nuts. Andrew says, thoughts on how much the media are jizzing about Slot. Oh, this fucking chat keeps... Anytime I go to hover over it, it moves. In comparison to the abuse and pressure Ten Hag gets ever since he got the job, Sky Sports were pathetic this weekend. I've always seen it with Liverpool managers, and it's always the case. King Faya says because under Ollie we played on the counter. That's such a very, very baseline way of thinking. We also had fantastic third man runs and very, very direct play. It's just different. And he says, have I thought about asking Rio to ask Maguire why Maguire always why he passes to the left? You're not going to get an answer. If we have a striker, Ten Hag will play the stupid 3-1-6 and we'll finish 8th again. Jonathan, do you know who's playing 3-1-6? Most of Europe, mate. 3-1-6 isn't a formation either. It's a shape, right? And 3-1-6 is one of the... It's very offensive. I don't get why you would be asked if we build up in it. We're only building up in the 3-1-6 when we've got possession, dominant possession. Not building up in... We will not build up 3-1-6 against City. Guarantee. Apparently the Oasis teases for the Dirt Down the Road's 4th shirt. Incorrect, mate. They're coming back and they're playing about 20 gigs. Which I was trying to work out. It's probably going to get them over 100 million in revenue. Now, I don't know how much it costs to put a gig on. Probably a few quid. But they're going to do 100 million in revenue from like 20 gigs, which is absolutely bonkers, innit? Shobit says, do I not feel concerned that Ten Hag is still buying Ajax players into year 3? Does it reflect poorly on our scouting or the manager? The better targets are not being identified. It doesn't, because the Ajax players that he's signing in Mazraoui and Matthias de Ligt are good players. So if they're good players, why does it matter? Do you know what I mean? If they're good players, why does it matter? Yeah, it's not ideal, I guess, to be buying players all from the same spot. But if they're good players, they're good players. United have like... we went for a period of buying players from Leeds. Someone was like, why are you always buying players from Leeds? City, when they were on the up and up, they just bought Arsenal players. Because that was the style of football that they wanted to sort of emulate at the time. Elon says Anthony and Onana are question marks. I don't think Onana's a question mark, mate. Jay says Casemiro needs to stop bombing forward and just tuck in control of the game with accurate passes. I agree with that. What's my opinion on City transitioning from robotic retention ball wingers, brackets Grealish, to tricky flair wingers like Doku and Savio? So I think when you have a lot of the ball, you need a lot of movement ahead of the ball to create spaces and gaps. Because if you hold the ball and you have that rule that City have, is it 16 passes to organise the shape correctly? Something like that under Pep. When you have the ball for extended periods of time and you don't catch opponents on the counter, because the counter attack is extremely effective for attacking space and a compromised defence. So when you attack a team with possession, very often that team's allowed to get back and set and defend, get in a 4-4-2 shape, deny the space, block up the centre. So you can pass the ball around, feel like you're being productive without really threatening. And that's where you have to have genuine talent. Like a KDB is a genuine talent, and so's Haaland, right? So they've got players that'll absolutely hurt you in a number of ways, regardless of the sort of circumstances they find you in. On the counter, they're both deadly, but also in positional attacks, they're quite deadly. When you've established that sort of dominance over such a long period of time to the point where now people really know what to expect from you. What you see with City going from that sort of robotic football to more tricky wingers is the wingers that are able to take the ball and take on their man, they create overloads, and that's ultimately what Pep's football and a lot of what you would call modern football is about. It's about creating overloads. Where can you create an overload? And the overload used to be done with positions, but now people are wise to those positions because tactical changes that might have taken 18 months to be recognised get recognised now in a week or two because the analysis is so good and they have entire departments that are looking at that analysis and trying to figure it out. So when you have the positional attacks that used to maybe work on bouncing a ball out to, let's say, the left winger and then someone doing an underlapping channel run to go and get on the other side of the ball, that would maybe 2v1 the fullback. Well, those runs are now being tracked from midfield and stuff. So you have to continually innovate to try and find ways to beat them. And football always goes in cycles. You always look back to what's worked to bring it with a modern spin and a modern twist on it. When you look at what an excellent flary winger can do, the same thing they've done throughout football is that unpredictability creates chaos. That unpredictability, that ability to go past your defender 1v1, taking him out of the game, means that you're now 2v1 on whoever. And therefore you've created an overload. So all it is about overloads. Where can you get a 2v1? Where can you get blah, blah, blah. So it's about bringing in unpredictability to continue getting overloads. That's it, in my opinion. That's it. And it makes sense. Henry says, what you do on the ball is simply more important than what you do without it. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. You're going to be on the ball for 3 minutes individually. You'll be without the ball for 87 minutes of a football match. You can have the best midfield. You can put Paul Scholes into United's midfield at the moment. It will not matter because you're still going to get murdered on the counter. No, that's just plain wrong. United scouts are the ones who recommended Delit and Mazraoui. People are just going to find any fucking excuse to complain at him, aren't they? Considering the striker situation, do Wheatley or Obi Martin have a break into the first team? Wheatley seems a bit far off it for me. Now, he's a big lad, so that could help him, but I'd be surprised, in all honesty. Is the chat working for everybody? Because I can see I'm still live, but I'm not getting any chat coming through. Oh, there we go. It's working again. Ombre says, is the app system for tickets working all right? Kind of scared about the issues on match day. Yeah, it worked pretty fucking all right for me. Are we too fluid with our position rotations and shapes? There's no positional discipline. And do we need a number 10 who can drive centrally, unlock defences and draw fouls? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Like, I think what we're doing on the ball looks pretty good at the moment. I think we are creating chances. I think that's objective. I think what we got to do is defend better and score when we create those chances. Do I know much about Kone that just signed? No, as I said last week, I won't do content on someone that I don't know, and I don't know anything about him. So I said give us a few days, but I've been away all weekend, so give us a few days this week. I'll try and watch him, and if I think he's worth it, we'll do a video. Martin says, you never played the game at a decent level, so why do I think I know what I'm talking about? Okay, well, have you? And what gives you the ability to say, I don't know what I'm talking about? Also, I speak on this as a fan, albeit as a fan that started my own football club and I'm now over 100 games as a manager deep. I'm on the training ground once or twice a week. I'm coaching every single weekend. I think that's the sort of thing that gives me the the qualifications. I've been a United fan for 34 years. This is my 34th season. So, you know, I'm not saying I've got the authority. I'm not saying I've got the answers. I'm giving my opinion. So, there's that in it. And what specifically do you have an issue with what I'm saying? You know, should it matter if what I'm saying is accurate? Because a lot of what I'm saying is fucking accurate. I know it is. Yeah, some people might disagree with some of the things I say, but I can tell you the fucking logical reasons for why I say what I say. Uma says, do I think United will activate a buyback clause on Greenwood? No. I think they wouldn't have sold him if they had any intention of bringing him back at some point. Do I feel like people are now watching matches with their opinion before the match instead of actually watching the match? Yes. I've said this for years. I also think that I think that people are really heavily swayed by commentators and what they say. PK Original says, what's the fascination with Mount's pressing at this level? Surely we should be able to coach anyone to press effectively. Just like Pep and Arteta and Klopp have done with Liverpool, City and Arsenal. Have they coached anyone to press effectively? Because I'll tell you what, they haven't. Have they? They've just signed players who press effectively. Thrill says even Riro's learnt a thing or two from Steve's insights. It's asinine to think that being a great player mean that you can assess or explain it well. Naim says, have I ever thought about doing my coaching badge? What? I'm already on them, mate. Yeah, I'm working towards my B. I'm in Wales in October, actually, on some courses. Dylan says, do I think we're going to bring in a striker or another attacker for the end of the window? I don't think so. Unless it's part of this situation with Sancho going Chelsea, which on its own is fucking nuts, isn't it? Am I okay? I seem grouchy. I'm not grouchy. I'm just fucking bored of idiots in the comments. JR says, apart from attacking better and defending better, what else can we improve? Set plays. I think playing out really well. I think we're moving the ball through the thirds nice. And, we're creating chances. We're just not finishing them. We need Højlund back as well. We just need our players fit. We are not set up to deal with injuries at the moment, which is a nightmare. What's next for IRL? I'm in the middle of a 30-day challenge on the Stairmaster. There's 10-ish days left on that. So we're going to do that. Probably make some content about Penny Fan that we've just done. I'm down for an ultra on the 7th of September, but the way I feel today after the fan dance yesterday, I fucking don't think I'm going to be able to finish it. But we will see. When is Højlund due back? I'm not sure. It's probably a few weeks off still, I would think. Ryan says you'd be a real good tactical shithouse. Facts. We try. There's some things that I have my lads do. Not very often because we don't generally need to. But yeah, there's some things that I have my lads do which are just pure shithousery that really fucking wind the opposition up. Man, I'm here for that. I love that. John says, how was the fan dance yesterday? As brutal as I remembered. I found it easier. So on my Whoop, anyone like Whoop gang, throw up a fucking hand. Let us know you're in the house. So Whoop is out of 21. Fuckers who are doing Tour de France will hit like a 20 or a 19.8. So it's a score with one decimal point, right? Like a hard session in the gym, you're looking at a 10. Like a really hard session, you're looking at like maybe a 13 or a 14 or something like that. When I did Paris 10 a couple of years ago, that was a 17, I think it was. When I did the fan dance 6 months ago, I got a 20. 20, which is the most I've ever got. I've never come close to getting a 20 on it. It's out of 21, but it goes up like earthquake scores. So like it'll go from 0 to 4 for getting dressed in the morning, but then to go from 4 to 10, you've got to go to the gym. Like you've actually got to really get your heart rate high. To get like 14s, 15s, you've got to have your heart rate in zone 2 or 3 or 4 for a couple of hours. So last year when we did the fan dance, 20 on the strain. Yesterday when I did it, 16 and a half. So either I'm a little bit fitter or I'm a little bit whatever. It was easier anyway, even though I'm in absolute fucking clip with muscle soreness today. PQ Original says, so you're saying that United's world-class coaches can't train and teach world-class players how to press as a unit? Oh, get blocked, mate. You're a fucking moron, honestly. Sin a bit. It's like saying, so you can't teach someone how to pass? No. At the absolute elite level, we're talking the 0.0001% of footballers. No, you can't really fucking teach someone. Like, why has no one taught Raheem Sterling how to fucking finish in 13 years as a professional? Why has no one taught Harry Maguire to pass to his fucking right in how many years as a professional? Like, at the very, very elite level, you can't really fucking teach. Yeah, there's going to be certain tactics that happen, but player development isn't really something where you go, oh, why don't we just fucking... Like, why has no one taught Scott McTominay to pass the ball fucking forward at any point in his fucking career? Jesus Christ. No, you can't really just fucking coach anybody that level up. You can't. Why can't... Ruud van Nistelrooy's here. Oh, why can't we just have Ruud van Nistelrooy teach people how to finish how he could? Do people actually think that that's a fucking real thing? Fucking hell. Andrew says, don't forget you also don't have the same time to teach. Players have one session a week and that's not tactical for the upcoming game. At most. Have I heard about the Oasis? Yes. I have heard about Oasis and I'm excited about Oasis. Can't wait. Connor says, never thank you for texting Uncle Pat about my baby girl. Cheers, that was awesome. He actually reposted a picture of me wearing the 08-09 winner shirt with a Godfather Uncle Pat. Fantastic, mate. Hope she's doing well. Nick says, stop playing video games and think you can train players like that. Yeah. No, people, here's what happens, right? People recruit the fucking attributes in players that they want. Do you know what I mean? Like, with the amount of resources that are available, like, all right, if Klopp and Pep and fucking Arteta and all these lot could just fucking coach attributes into players, why has Pep spent like $2 billion on footballers? Why didn't he just coach someone better? Why did he sign Claudio Bravo, who could play the ball, which is what he signed him for, but was actually a fucking shit goalkeeper? Why didn't he just teach him how to catch the ball? Honestly. Rob says, am I pissed off over the overreaction from some fans? Yeah, fans and the fucking media, as always, innit? Am I going to get tickets for Oasis? I'm going to try. Thriller says, because they've never seen a player of that level up close, the few people I have who've made it pro were Ronaldinho compared to the rest of us. Honestly, so we play at level 13. I can guarantee 99% of the people in this chat could not fucking hang in a training session with Paddock. And we play level fucking 13, right? And you would look like a fucking left-footed donkey if you came to the training sessions with Paddock. Now, we have a player that's been at Paddock and then moved on. And he comes and trains with us because last year the team he was training for, Warrington, they only used to train once a week in Northern Prem. And he would come down and train with us. And the level difference of a guy playing the middle of non-league, so most people would look at a non-league player and go, he is shit, right? But it's just not the fucking case. So, and this is a kid that had played for England under 19s, actually played against Delo in the final when England won a European Championships under 19 level. So he comes down and trains with us. He's not trained with us this season, but last season he trained with us very frequently. And when he trained with us, the level in difference and sharpness and the quality of his touch compared to my lads was ridiculous. You're like, fuck me, he's so good. But by all of our standards, if he came and played for United, we would think he's fucking abysmal, probably, right? Just... Daniel Berry says, I'm a brilliant footballer. I'd look like Xavi playing for Paddock. What's your experience? Because if you've not got 400 games of non-league, that's a load of bollocks. It's plain and simple, a load of bollocks. I don't think people have a fucking clue at how good the depth of English football is. Any players I think could overperform this season? That's a really hard one to sort of guess, isn't it? Maybe someone like a Manu. Am I getting the new Jamaica away jersey? Ordered that shit on Friday when it came out. Yes. How much does having those players training for Paddock raise the floor at Paddock? Well, there's a couple of things that we've done recently. So last season, what we would have is trialists could just turn up, and we would have first and 21s trained together, and there'd be a lot of trialists in there. And I like to do an 11v11. So it's 11-a-side football, right? I like small-sided games. I like distilling it down into little groups of 6 to work on real individual stuff. I like that sort of thing. But it's 11-a-side football, and I think every single training session should have 11-a-side football in it, even if it's just 20 minutes. I like 25, 30 minutes. Martin Davison says, I could dominate your team. Give me your credentials then, mate, because I'm willing to bet £100 right now that's a load of bollocks, right? Cash. We have a Jamaican international in our fucking reserve team. Former Jamaican international. He's in his 40s now. But do you know what I mean? Like, people just don't fucking understand the levels. Anyway, what we had last year was we'd have an 11v11. It was like the 21s against the first, and then there would be like an overspill of players. So you ended up with 3 teams. So what we used to do is if you conceded, you went off. And the first team always used to lose a rag with that. But the level wasn't fucking good. This year, first team training is 24 players. That's it. No more, no less. It's bang on 24 players. And I'm able to do that because if I only have 22 or 21 first team players showing up, the reserves now train right before our session. So I'll bring a couple of people into the session. So I have 24, but that enables me to plan really, really effectively. And it means that at the end of the session, we have an 11v11, and it's a high level 11v11. Martin says, I play pro, won 22 medals. Have you though? I said, give me some credentials. That's no credentials. Who have you played for? And we'll go check you out. How about that? Brian says, go look at Paddock playing ex-pros with Danny Simpson, Stephen Allen, see how high that level still is. No one here stand a chance at Paddock. Yeah. What was the question? It's about how do we fucking keep that level? Oh, how do having players in that level of that level coming into training? Yeah, so having players of that level coming in and helping out with training keeps the level consistently high. And from pre-season this season, the level's been really high because we've really limited anyone just turning up into training, which really fucking dropped us off the last one. Connor says, if you could hire on TalkSport personality to the Paddock channel, which one would you have and why? I don't watch TalkSport. I just get sent clips of when they chat shit. Ryan says, Steve may have players who can finish better than a Prem player, but too slow for non-league. It's natural selection. Yeah. See, that's the other thing as well. G says 20.5 was my peak training. That was for a paddle tournament. Fucking hell. I think I've only ever seen like a 20.8 or a 20.7 as the very highest one. United Indian says, I bet I could pass more forward than Scott McTominay. Will that count as a talent? But do you know what, though? I bet if Scott McTominay came down to our level, he would look like Maradona reincarnated. His dribbling would be so much fucking better. His passing would definitely be breaking the lines. Like, it's just the difference between the levels is the speed of thought, the speed of the touch and the decision making, and then the crispness of the technique that's been sort of displayed. So Scott McTominay, we look at him and we go, this fucker can't pass the ball forward at the Premier League level. But if you brought him down to our level or even like fucking League One, League Two level, he would literally look unfucking real. Like unreal. Even Ashley Young, who I fucking bag on and just think is fucking poor. He would look like fucking Ronaldinho probably. Because what we see is, a player has a little bit of a heavy touch. They get nailed in the Prem and lose the ball. Have a heavy touch in the Championship or League One or our level. He's probably got enough time to be able to get it under control, get on a turn, and then go fucking do something. JR says I'm sold on the Whoop now. Whoop's absolutely fucking legendary. Andrew A says, anyone questioning the quality of ex-pros simply needs to watch one of the Soccer Aid games. You'll see 60-year-old bossing a game, surrounded by 21-year-olds who play every week. Yeah. Bert says, I'm really looking forward to the game on Sunday against Liverpool. Same. Buffy says, I could have been Pele if I was older and a man, and not me. Good point. What's prompted the sudden interest in college football? I've always had a bit of a passing interest in it, and that's the problem. Is it's been a passing interest. I went to a UCLA game back in 2015 at the Rose Bowl. It was about fucking 80,000 people there. It was a ledge. I loved it. And if it's on when I'm happening to be browsing TV, I will watch it because I like it. Now, I've not really had the opportunity to get my teeth into following it. And I thought the reason I've not really got my teeth into following it is because I haven't followed a team. And I think having a team to follow would probably give me more of a schedule to follow it, and I'd get more into it because I don't have an NFL team. I support Manchester United, and that's it. So I really like a lot about college sports, and I've wanted to sort of have a bit of a reason to go and visit other places in America. So I could pick a team from New York or Texas or fucking Florida or LA or where the very touristy fucking parts are. But I thought, nah, do you know what? I'll go with Oklahoma because that's proper fucking America, innit? And it's proper, college football tackle. And the stadium's 86,000 people. So there's a game midnight Friday, so Saturday morning. So I'm going to be watching that, which I think is the first game of the season, actually. So I've got a lot of learning to do. But yeah, I like American football. I like watching American football. When it's on, I will watch American football. But like, I don't follow an NFL team, and I don't follow or didn't follow a college team. So it's never really stuck, and I've never really followed it because I've not really had, the option to do that. It's World War II. My first posting. Where would I want which side and which weapon? Fuck. World War II. What posting? Chances of fucking dying are high, aren't they, with any of the good postings? I'll take Long Range Desert Group and the beginnings of the SAS in North Africa with the desert rats for my first posting, just to fucking see what's going on with that, because I know a lot of them boys then followed it into Europe and beyond. So I think that would probably give the best stories. Adjit says, did I have a Seahawks jersey at one point? It wasn't my jersey. I just fucking put it on for the promo that we were doing. Yeah. I have got a Green Bay Packers jersey, which I bought. Green Bay would be the team that I would lean towards in the NFL, but I haven't really gone all in. And I think I just prefer the college one, I think. Omar with a super chat says, McTominay should kill it in Napoli. The league and the team fits his playing style. Where are our goals going to come from this season? It's my worry. That is my worry. That is absolutely my worry. Connor says, oh yeah, I forgot you're a hot weather man. Correct. I'm not going anywhere near fucking going fucking anywhere near anything cold. I think there's a good chance that we was fucking close to hypothermia yesterday. The wind was horrendous on top of Penny Fan, and we was soaked to the bone. Who wins in World War III? Nobody, because World War III is getting nukey for a lot of people, and we don't want that. Jay says, was at a charity football again as a young kid. I watched an old Emlyn Hughes make younger lads look like shit in a seven-a-side match. Even then could see the levels. Fucking hell, yeah. What am I currently reading at the moment? I'm quite into some Jack Carr novels. Never really been a novel guy. I am fucking raw sort of biographies and history and sort of factual kind of books. But I watched the Terminal List and I liked it. I think someone on here recommended it, actually. I watched the Terminal List and I liked it. Then I got the book, and I'm now on book 5 of the whole Rhys James series, and I like it. And I nearly got myself into trouble then with something, but I won't. Omar says, I'm from Texas. Oklahoma is a great choice for a college team. Always in the mix. Great heritage, great fans, great rivalry with Texas. But Oklahoma is a dead state. USC is another fun choice, but they choke a lot. I just realised after fucking deciding that I was going to be an Oklahoma fan that they are on the West Coast in terms of timing, aren't they? So it's going to be a fucking nightmare. I should have picked one on the East Coast because it would have been so much easier to watch. But we live and learn. Nick says, college football is way better. Way more passion and less of a scripted feel to the game. Good. Brendan says, in the past 2 games, Maguire has switched off while there's been a ball in our box. Martinez loose pass against Fulham, just turned his back on it while Mazraoui chased it down. Stephen says, the reason Maguire plays passes to the left is because if you've got Wan-Bissaka to your right and Shaw to your left, 9 times out of 10. Yeah, but he's got Mazraoui now, and for the last 2 games, just hasn't wanted to fucking pass it to him. Andrew says, The Operators by Michael Hastings is a good book. The Operators by Michael Hastings. I don't think I've read that. There's one by a guy called James Rennie. I'm going to Google that one while I'm here. It's that's about American. Yeah, there's one called. There's one. I'm pretty sure it's James Rennie. Let me see. Yeah, James Rennie's. He talks about being part of 14 Intelligence, which was sort of the precursor to the Special Reconnaissance Regiment. That's a fucking great book to stick your teeth into. I've ever been to a hurling match in Ireland? No, but I want to visit Ireland a lot more frequently, and that's certainly something I would like to get over to. Alex O'Donnell says, Dispatches by Michael Herr on Vietnam's a good book. On war as you will read, get it on the list. Let's write that one down. Brian with another chat there says, have been to a hurling match in Ireland? No, again, definitely want to get that one. Jack says, my cousin came through at Huddersfield as an old-fashioned centre-half and I can't get near him when he's on the ball dribbling. The difference in quality is ridiculous. Yeah, a lot of my lads are ex-academy players. I've got 2 lads that are ex-United on the books. One is currently our club captain, and you can see the training in them is there. So people think we're like Sunday League, Pub League. I go through my team and there's a fucking lot of former academy in there, or lads that are, probably ready to go. Uma says, how the fuck you walk 457 kilometres for the armed forces? That's literally mad. Well, I did give myself plantar fasciitis for it, so yeah. I don't know if I'd be doing it again in a hurry. It was hard work. Shay says, I watched NFL nearly every Sunday last season. It's a good distraction from the impending Monday blues. Andrew says, you know the title of James Rennie's book? I'll take the recommendation for sure. It's The Operators. Yeah, James Rennie, Rennie, The Operators. It's about the 80s, I think, possibly early 90s. One of my old colleagues was part of that unit and told me to have a read of that book, and it was fucking brilliant. Yeah, it was definitely worth the recommendation. Did I watch the wrestling last night? No. Brendan says, where would I draw the line on a player who's not good enough or a player with a poor attitude? I will take a player not good enough with a good attitude over a player who's better with a shit attitude, because you can rely and trust the player with a good attitude more than you can trust the bad attitudes. Ruben says, Steve went down the rabbit hole of the missing billionaire's yacht. Too coincidental, if you ask me. I need Ash back. We need to have these discussions. He's fucking living it up in Florida, the fucker. As my granddad ever told me mad stories of Duncan Edwards. Not mad stories, but he's explained to him how good he was. Like, Keith says, Steve, Oasis. I know. I've had about 100 texts already this morning saying, are we buying tickets? Fucking absolutely. Yeah, of course we are. I mean, fucking 2 Oasis prints up in here. Of course we fucking are. You're mad. You'd love to walk the west coast of Ireland. There was a guy chatting to me last night, a former Irish Ranger, that was telling me about a sort of a test that they have. The Foreman Afman test, which sounds pretty fucking gnarly. Might be one to try and do. Halemo says Scott will be a success in Serie A, 100%. Mixed feelings about seeing him leave due to his massive contributions for United. Dan says Oasis overrated. Stone Roses is the best Manchester band. Stone Roses have got that sort of underground vibe to them. The first album that they did was sensational, but Oasis just catalogue. It destroys so many. Like, some of their songs they didn't even release would be the best song by any other band. Daniel says, wouldn't go saw them a few times in the 90s. Liam's voice is shot. It's just a money-making venture for them. No one cares. We're going to go, and we're going to have a fucking good time reminiscing and fucking singing the songs of our childhood. Fucking Ian Brown can't sing. Doesn't matter, because it's still a fucking great experience to go watch them live. Andrew says, clearing out my grandfather's house last month, I found a tour video of the cliff where he filmed training of the 99 squad. It was insane. Lived in Hamilton, Scotland, couldn't believe it. That's fucking class. Daniel says, yeah, sorry, Ian Brown at V2000 walked out. Yeah, I've seen him live a few times, and the guy can't fucking sing, especially live. He's awful. But you're still there for the fucking tunes, aren't you, at the end of the day? Martin says there was an American football college game in Dublin last week. Really? Georgia Tech versus Florida State? No way. Happens every year. Could be one for the calendar. That is interesting. Yeah, by the way, why Notre Dame? Notre Dame famously being named after something French. Called the Fighting Irish. They come out to a Scottish bagpipe song. I think it's Scotland the Brave they come out to. Called a French thing, playing American sport, called the Fighting Irish. I find that one quite curious. I'm going to be honest. Keith says, I could never like Oasis with those two blue noses. I don't know, mate, but being from around Manchester, you do know City fans, right? So them being City fans isn't a problem. And also, Bonehead's a United fan. So it is what it fucking is, isn't it? Walter White says, I'm taking 115 charges flagged to Oasis concert. John Knutson says, do I feel the sporting structure at United, buying players and signing, is setting up the next manager to succeed regardless? Yeah, I think that's their job regardless, right? So I think what a sporting director team has to do is they have to set up the club for success regardless of who's in charge. Lucas says, aren't the Irish Rangers Irish Special Operations Forces? I don't know, actually. Their that test that I got sent looks pretty fucking gnarly, though. Colliob says, thoughts on salary and transfer caps in football, just like the NFL. It's unworkable because you'll always have somewhere like Saudi Arabia pop up and just pay everyone like fucking £1 million a week. So it doesn't really work. For it to work, you would have to have it come down from FIFA or UEFA, and I don't think they're interested in doing that. Danny Quinn says, this is why we should be excited about United's future. We don't put all our hopes on a manager anymore. It's a good thing. Brian says, for such a small country, Irish had a massive cultural impact around the world. I mean, Britain, for such a small island, I know it's a slightly bit bigger than Ireland, but Britain, Ireland, Jamaica, there's some places, Japan to a greater or lesser extent, have had some fucking mad cultural impact on the world, haven't they? Emmett says, the story is, when a school was opened, the Catholics, predominantly Irish, would be bullied by the Protestants in South Bend, Indiana, then became dubbed the Fighting Irish. Okay, makes sense. Serix Khan says, do you all sit down and decide to move away from Paddock after game fan cam format to the current? I feel like you didn't want to be a part of the United vitriol. Where's that fucking comment gone? And stand out as calm and logical. I've never really liked it. Oh yeah, it was massively my decision. I didn't want to be seen as adding fuel into that. At the end of the day, as Manchester United content creators, we're at the ground and we have conversations with people. 99.9% of those conversations are calm, but some people have got a bee in the bonnet. But I will always talk to them. So when we have a conversation with people at the game, and I understand that the fan cams were the people from the game, but the problem is fan cams and fanzines are of the same ilk. It's just different technology. But the problem that fan cams had over fanzines, because there'd have been far wilder shit written down in fanzines than there ever would have been said on a fan cam. The problem is you can't share this fanzine to all your followers, and it doesn't. So they don't go as viral as like a 20-second comment from someone shared on social media. So fan cams became both a product and a victim of the technology that exists around their sort of starting. The reason for doing fan cams was a pure reason. It was to get genuine opinion from fans at the match. The problem is the ones that did well were the ones that probably did well on the back of opposition fans, if we're being honest with ourselves. And I find that's what a lot of the reactionary content does. So what I say about the content I make and the content we make at Stretford Paddock is we make content for United fans. I couldn't give a fuck if Liverpool fans think I'm a bell. I couldn't give a fuck if City fans think I'm a bell. I don't make content for them people. We make content for United fans. And I think there's people out there that make content that adheres to a stereotype of United fans or is designed and they're happy to be the sort of the figure of fun for people who are opposition fans. And I think that's why they're sort of in the same channel as the likes of TalkSport and stuff like that, where what they're doing is rage baiting United fans with some of the stuff that they do. And we didn't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of that. I make content for Manchester United fans. My next door neighbour, who lives right through there, watches my content. 80-year-old bloke who likes United and if I was chatting shit, he'd pull me up and tell me. The same way my granddad would, the same way my dad would, the same way all of the fucking people that I have been going to the match would for 34 fucking years would be like, what are you doing that for? So the content I make, all of the people around me watch it, which is weird at the match. You know, the bloke at the Fulham game turned around and was like, oh, I saw the video you did on blah, blah, blah. And there you go. So I'm very happy with the content I put out. I'm very comfortable with how that's perceived by United fans. And I wasn't necessarily happy with the way the fan cams were being perceived. So I said, I think we should stop it. And we stopped it. Now, I still, but my worry, which has kind of been realised a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out ways for us to change this, is my worry is that it become closed. And it's not meant to be closed. It is meant to be open for people to come and participate. And that was what Full Time Devils did really well. I literally have a career in YouTube because they wanted other people to come on camera. And I don't want to close that off to other people to have the opportunity to do that. So I still want to be able to bring in other people to come and make content with us and give us their opinions. But I don't know how to do that. So I'll figure it out one day. But yeah. And like Nick just says there, the best part of fan cams was discovering new people, such as Andy Tate. Yeah, I totally agree. That shouldn't be closed off, but I don't know the way to do that just yet. I would like to be bringing people in and have them sort of do the news in the morning and give us their opinion on the news. And then we start bringing them into like podcasts and stuff like that. I think that's where it's got to be done. Show says phone-ins for members would be a decent start. That's not a bad idea. The problem is you've got bells who decided to ruin those shows when we did them and troll them. So they're a fucking nightmare. And you can't have people saying stuff on lives that can end up getting the channel cancelled, can you? Nick says, can a billionaire ban fight up the whole Stretford paddock? Probably. But the fan channel, yeah. I mean, not the club. The club's owned by the fans, so you got zero chance of that ever happening. But the fan channel, you could, yeah. Jay says, I've ever been to Belize. My dad said it was brutal training when he was a para back in the day. No, I haven't done jungle. I really don't think I would enjoy it as well. I know I like the heat, but there's heat and there's... Why is there a fucking leech crawling on my ball bag? And I'm just not about that. CG says, I get offered 40 million for Sancho or Anthony, but I can only sell one. Who do I sell? Sancho, because even though I think Anthony's a bell, I think he actually tries. I think that matters. Andrew says that attitude is why you've ended up going to World Cups and having people in the game respect what you do. Same reason others are heading to talk shite for random clicks. My dad is 70 and fucking loves your videos. See, that's what I'm happy with, is that, you know, I don't have to fucking hide myself going into Old Trafford. I walk into Old Trafford and, you know, there'll be a couple of kids probably want a photo. There'll be a couple of lads sort of just let on. And then I'll get a beer and people will come up and have a chat. And that's a great way to be. It's a little bit different in America. I think American public are a bit more open to it. Like, get fucking mobbed when we go to the games over there. I don't know if I'd go to the games if it was like that over here, because even though it's all nice and it's positive, I don't like it. So I think that would make it really difficult. Mancunians all think we're too cool, don't we? So no one's going to fucking let on, really. There's a couple of people and that's it. And I like that. You know, otherwise it'd be a fucking nightmare. Stephen says, the gold dust with you and the rest of the paddock is the combination between the presenters. You and Ronnie work as much as Joe and McCullough. Well, that's it. We're all just United fans at the end of the day, innit? Ruben says, some of the best United content is the brew. For someone who lives on the other part of the world, the glimpse into life in Manchester, it's weird to explain, but it means a lot. Yeah. Rico says, is a class thing. What a class thing? Susan says, remember when FTD and AFTV collaborated before H2H? Don't know what H2H means. The last I saw this collab was when you and Adam were being interviewed before Robbie. I got arrested that night. And Adam was being interviewed by Robbie. He was chatting mad shit What was the reason for the end of the AFTV and Stretford Paddock relationship? They was going to do something with Andy Tate, and they didn't show up. But then they made a lot of videos like Andy didn't show up, but Andy was exactly where he said he was going to be. And the bottom line is, we don't work with fucking snakes and liars. And when people have been snakes and liars, and there's a lot of them in this industry, I'll never fucking work with them. I only work with people I respect. Rico says Americans don't understand boundaries. Oh, right, okay. Is that a class thing? No, I think, do you know what? It probably is a very British thing. It's probably more like British are reserved, but I also think British miss out on a lot of fucking good stuff because they're too cool for it, if you know what I mean. Or they think they're too cool for it. Yamada says that the fact that you don't need to bring any agendas and just comment on what you see with your individual opinions is what I love about the Paddock lads. I mean, we still get accused of having agendas, but I guarantee you this: none of us at Paddock have ever sat down and said, right, what are we saying about this ever? It's never been the case. Like, we've never sat around and said, well, if you're going to say X, I'm going to say what, or are we all in agreement? Like, this never happened. If we've organically agreed or disagreed on the same thing, then that's how it's been. But we've never fucking carved it up in any other way. Brian says the content you create and you makes you happy and it's obvious to those who watch. Well, that's it at the end of the day, isn't it? That's all we're here to do. And like, I haven't done it in a while, but there was a few times, especially if it's after a game, if I've been at work all day and then gone at the game and United have fucking lost and been well shit, and it's happened for a few weeks on a bounce. Like, there's times that I've just not bothered doing a review on that after the game because I've got nothing to fucking say. If I've got nothing to say, I'm not going to fucking do it. Richard says, we signed Ugarte and still think we need another midfielder. If Manu gets injured, who replaces him? He's only 19, needs to be managed correctly. I think you're right, mate. I just don't think we're going to do it this window. I just don't think that's doable for us. Curious on your opinion about that iShow Speed guy. I don't get it. It's the top and bottom. I just don't get why he's... Listen, not everything is for me. Not every band is for me. You know, you might not like Oasis. That's fine, right? I like Oasis. I like Manchester United. You might be an Arsenal fan who fucking hates Oasis. That's allowed, right? iShow Speed's clearly popular. What's he got? Fucking 20 million followers? Something like that? Clearly someone likes him, right? It's just not for me. Not everything is for me. Not everything is for you. And that's the one. It is what it is, isn't it? And do you know what? Probably took me a long time to realise that, but it doesn't matter. If you like something and I don't like it, I all right, enjoy your day, see you in a bit. I'm not going to even fucking try. Billy Red says, I'm 63 and I watch you fuckers, The View, and O'Neill and Webby every day. I'm a sad bastard. But do you know what it is, right? And I understand where it came from. A lot of people don't want... I mean, I don't think this was the case when I was growing up. I felt like the media... And I could be wrong. I just didn't feel like it. I wasn't aware of it if it was happening, and it didn't feel that way. So if you feel it, that's the truth, right? If you don't feel it, it doesn't happen. And I didn't feel like the media was ever directly targeting United when I was growing up, when I was a teenager. Something like that. I never thought that the media was particularly out to get us, and that even includes like the David Beckham dartboard and stuff. I just thought that was that one particular incident. Maybe I didn't see the bigger picture at the time. Whereas now, I watch Sky Sports News, and every fucking 35 seconds there feels like Brighton might do something well, but this is a dig at United. Wolves might do some fucking thing well, and someone will bring United into it in a negative aspect. But you never see United getting the credit for anything in the media. And that's, is that because there's so much requirement now? The 24-hour news cycle and the internet requires so much comment at all times that there's more of it and negativity sells, seemingly, for the big corporations. And a United such a big target that we get hammered for that. I can't remember what the fucking point I was making. Oh, yes, that was the guy who watches all the different channels. So I really understand the desire to not want to consume media that's going to piss you off. I think when you want to watch exclusively United fan content, I think it's because you just want to be surrounded by like-minded people, and I absolutely, completely fucking understand that. Would Paddock ever do post-match interviews? Good way to find people like Andy Tate and that. I'll be honest, I don't think so. I think if we... The problem is it required like an extra member of staff to do that, which meant someone down at Old Trafford with a camera, or the away games, and that was very difficult to organise a lot of the time for getting people down to the away games, as well as the presenter. And Maka was frequently doing the kickoff at the time, or wasn't able to get a ticket and stuff, so then it becomes like really difficult to do. And then obviously you've got the edit and the travel and all that on top of that. And it wasn't a lot of reward for what you were doing in terms of what was bringing in. And then obviously you had, the negative side of what those opinions were bringing in. So I would say if we decided to do anything, in my opinion, I want to make the watch along better. I want to make it something that actually entertains and educates and informs, and we can level it up there, I think. I think that would be what I would look to do. Have I considered doing a podcast with Ash and Ronnie instead of two separate ones? That would probably be quite fun, actually. Even if we were in the league this season, they'll question whether we deserved it. Absolute facts. What if Paddock brought channel members in on Zoom calls for pre-recorded match reviews, etc.? That could work. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no fucking rule book for this. We can do whatever we want. I think that might work. Yeah, I think members is a good shout. To do stuff with members, I think is a good shout, actually. Matty says, you and the lads got me through some hard times. Being a single parent and my daughter now loves you a lot. I can't thank you enough. Fantastic. Good to hear. Douglas says, can you vet some Paddock fans to join the watch along in person or remotely? Possibly. Like there's a good few people that we know by the names. We know by the names of people in the chat. And we did it for a while. I don't know if they're still doing it because I haven't actually watched one of our watch alongs for a minute. But I know that we used to do that sort of pre-video where we would get people's opinions, and I wonder if there's a possibility of doing some post ones like that as well. That'd probably be pretty good. Media is annoying for a lot of people. Yesterday, Van Dijk said he was getting tired of the Klopp and Slot comparisons. Omar with a super chat says, hating United's for clicks, largest international fan base, even United YouTube collectively is a Goliath. Uncalled for shots seem to be the algorithm. And notice that they hardly any pro-United pendants in these outlets. Yep. Paul says, I watch because I like talking footy and a bit of banter. We have to be, we have to go off topic. We have to be. For our own fucking sanities, we have to go off topic. And that's what the brew's all about, like. Andrew says you should start with the likes of John Shin and that. Yeah, that's who I was thinking. Green Devil said, not sure if you answered this, but is there a reason why you don't do watch-alongs, even when there's a game you're not going to? Because I'm not entertaining on watch-alongs, and I don't want to fucking talk. When I watch a game, I'm watching the game. Like, if I go on a watch along, I won't know what's happened in the game because I'll be too busy talking, and I don't really like. I might say something every fucking 10 minutes, watching a match with my dad. So I would rather watch at home. If I'm not going. If I'm going and I'm going, but if I'm not, then I'd rather not. Yeah, I'd just rather not. I just don't think it's, you know, I don't take in the game in the same way. So I'd rather focus on the game. Billy says, I live 5 hours from Manchester and still get called a mank bastard when I walk in our local. Red Lad says, Christ, you'd swear Rashford just stood up in the corner, had an okay game, but was millimetres away from a goal which would much rather have got a goal disallowed from marginal offside than never get the chance. Yeah. James says, Steve, a watch along is like baseball in America. Yeah, I get that, but I don't see. I'm not going to watch the game if I'm on a watch along. We need to get Florin on YouTube. We do need to get Florin on YouTube. Do I turn off the commentary or watch United on TV? I do. It clouds your judgment. I don't. I just get annoyed at it. Do Paddock worry about any reaction from United brass before putting out content? Fuck no. And actually, no, we have a pretty decent relationship with the club at the moment. Obviously, we've been on the last 2 pre-seasons. We've done things in collaboration with the club, but the club have never said anything about what to say or what not to say, like at all, like ever, like genuinely never. They've not said anything to us. They've not said, "Can you just tone the Glazer stuff down?" No, even when we've done like stuff with Wes Brown, I don't think we've ever asked him something specifically like that because we just talk about his career really. But like, even when we've gone onto the stages there, what I'm trying to say is like, they've never said to us, don't ask about this or don't ask about this or do ask about that. They don't say fucking nothing. They just go, here you go, lads. There's the mic. You're on stage at 2. Something like that. So it's like, they know who we are. They know what we're going to bring. They know what we make content on. They've never fucking said anything. Who was the scarecrow I was talking to on the Twitch live on Saturday? So we normally put our live camera on the opposite side of where our dugout is. On Saturday, we had it where we are. And I don't like that because you can hear our conversations on the bench. And the number 9 was particularly gobby on the opposition to the bench. And he looked like a fucking scarecrow. So I kept calling him a scarecrow. He was shit. Harry Maguire's asked you to tone it down, though, hasn't he? No, his agent has. Well, actually, he's not even asked me directly. No, he's asked somebody else. He's never actually asked me because he gets told fuck off. The Life of Riley says the club knows better than try and filter Steve. Not going to happen. But they don't even try and filter Jay or Joe or Mac or any of us. Like they've just never said that. You know, and they bring us knowing what we are, what we've said, you know, and our thoughts and everything. And I'll be honest with you, the fucking people who work for the club don't necessarily disagree with a fucking word we say. Did you all see the story about the United security lady prior to the FA Cup? I think Laurie wrote about it. She did a video. Well, I met her last year, and I don't know if fucking squaddies have just got a fucking sense or whatever with each other that we just knew each other had served, and we ended up having a bit of a chat in Vegas. And then obviously I saw that they did this video ahead of the FA Cup final. I had a chat to her about it in the summer, and that was good. It was good listening to what she said, and what the club did, and all the rest of that sort of stuff. She was looking after the FA Cup on, which is mad in it that they bring the FA Cup around to all the supporters clubs and that. But that was good. I enjoyed that. Any word on when I'll be working with Ash again? He's on holiday. He's been on holiday for about, well, by the time he gets back, he'll have had about fucking 3.5 weeks on holiday. What's it like in the Stretton? You mean the Stretford End? And what was it like when I was a kid? When I was a kid, the first few years of going, I remember just sitting on the barriers, dangling my legs through the railings at the front of the Stretford End. First couple of years before they knocked it down, and then we did a bit of K-stand while they knocked down the Stretford end. And then from then, it's just fucking been the same pretty much since it was all kind of rebuilt. Have I met G-Nev? Yes. Feels like I need to tell him he was mint. I think I have told him to stop fucking downplaying his career a little bit. I had a really good chat with him in summer, actually. In Munich. Not Munich. Berlin. We was in Berlin, weren't we? Yeah. David says, well done on the Penny Fan the other day. I love an hour away, but I haven't done it yet. Dodgy back. It took us 6 fucking hours. So, you can go up Penny Fan from the Story Arms and you'd be up to the top in an hour, an hour and 20 or something like that. But when you go all the way out to the fucking turnaround point and then have to do it again, that second summit of Penny Fan from the backside of it is fucking hard. It's just relentless. I think there's about, from when the path starts doing that, so it goes from being like gently uphill to almost like walking upstairs. I think there's 250 meters of climb, probably over about the course of a K. And it gets fucking like 1 and 2 towards the end. It's fucking disgusting. I've never been up on a good day. I've always had cloud on the top. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Where are the goals coming from? Don't know. I don't know where the goals are coming from. Any goals for the Paddock channel specifically this season? Not really, no. Do I have all trails in the UK? Yes, I have the app, actually. Stephen says, absolute dream team commentary and co-commenter team. Liam S. with Ash Williams. I don't think you'd ever get Ash on comms. Fucking hell. David says, a photography friend of mine is 60 odd and he climbs it in the dark to photograph sunrise. Nuts. Jesus. Anyway, we have been live for fucking days, so I'm going to wrap it up. But cheers for tuning in as always. Back in the morning. I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of shit unfold. It's going to be a busy week, I think. We get Ugarte done. We'll get these sales done. And we'll call it a day. Yeah. Oh, 64 Ahmed's got one there. He says, you always said that recruitment's the most important thing about building a squad. How do we recruit for Paddock? People turn up. That's it. People turn up. The best recruiter for us at our level is a mate. Someone who's played with someone or someone who knows someone. We get our best players from people who've been, their mate has come down. But, we also got Sam, new centre-half, who's played every game for us so far this season, and Florin, our new goalkeeper. We got them through the trial this year, so the trial was happy days. Stuart says, my son who has autism wants to go watch United, but he's not good in overcrowded places. Would a Paddock game be good for him to get used to live football first? Definitely. I mean, we can have a few in at Hyde, but there's 4 sides to it, and the fans aren't really spread out on all 4 sides. So, yeah, you could actually go and just stand off on your own if you wanted to. But, yeah, get him down to a game, mate. It's free entry. Come and get in the mix. We've got one game on the 21st, I think. He's at home. I think 21st, Mersey Valley, 3 p.m. Is at home. Other than that, take it easy, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms.